The Vatican's secret mission, they are spending millions to hunt for aliens. Can finding life on other worlds shatter faith? The ultimate collision of science and Christ. The paradox of faith and the cosmos. Welcome back to Secrets of True Faith, where we investigate the most complex historical and often hidden intersections of divinity, history, and profound mystery. Today, we confront what many see as the ultimate paradox of modern existence. The world's oldest spiritual institution, the Vatican, using the most advanced scientific instruments to seek out life beyond our planet. Our focus is the Vatican Observatory, Specula Vaticana, and the explosive theological implications should its dedicated Jesuit astronomers confirm the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence. The image itself is potent and symbolic. A Catholic priest, a man sworn to poverty and obedience to ancient spiritual truths, spending his nights in a sterile, multi-million-dollar dome in the Arizona desert, gazing through a powerful telescope at the edges of the known cosmos. He is searching for a scientific truth that to the average person seems destined to either validate or completely dismantle the foundations of established Christianity. This is not just a scientific pursuit, it is a profound philosophical and theological confrontation. For nearly 2 millennia, the central narrative of Christian theology has been anthropocentric, human-centered. The story is focused on Earth, the stage for the unique act of creation, the scene of the original sin, and the exclusive location of the singular incarnation and redemption by Jesus Christ. In this framework, humanity holds a privileged central place. But the modern cosmos, revealed by science, is cosmocentric, vast, and indifferent to our planet's centrality. The known universe holds trillions of stars and likely billions of planets capable of supporting life. This shift in perspective from a small, centered world to an infinite scattered cosmos is the core tension the Vatican Observatory embraces. If definitive sentient extraterrestrial life, ETI, were to be discovered, it would immediately ignite 3 primary theological crises for the lay faithful. The crisis of uniqueness, imago Dei. If life elsewhere is intelligent and possesses a soul, are they also created in the image of God, imago Dei? Does bearing God's image require a human form? Or is it a spiritual capacity, reason, free will shared by all intelligent creation? The crisis of sin and salvation, soteriology. Did these other races also suffer a fall? If so, does the single sacrifice of Jesus Christ, performed on a minor planet in an unremarkable solar system, suffice to redeem the entire scattered cosmos, or must the second person of the Trinity have committed multiple incarnations across time and space? The crisis of prophecy. Does the silence of the scriptures on Brother Extraterrestrial imply a negation or simply a scope limited to the human audience? The popular, often secular, narrative is that such a discovery would lead to the collapse of religious dogma. The Church, however, operates from a position of deep philosophical confidence, best summarized by the scholastic principle, veritas non potest contradicere veritate. Truth cannot contradict truth. If science reveals a truth about the universe, that truth must ultimately align with the truth revealed by faith. The role of the Jesuit scientists is therefore one of intellectual pioneering, preparing Catholic theology for the cosmic expansion of God's creative genius. Their work is a proactive, intentional effort to move beyond the lingering fear of the unknown and embrace a universe that, in its immense complexity, only amplifies the glory of its creator. They are, in essence, the theological advance guard, using reason to clear the path for faith in the face of infinity. Disclaimer: this content is for educational and analytical purposes only. It explores theological speculation and scientific research conducted by the Vatican Observatory. It does not constitute official dogma or definitive statements on the existence of extraterrestrial life, which remains, as of this time, an unconfirmed scientific hypothesis. Part 2. History, Jesuits, Astronomy and the Shadow of Galileo. The story of the Vatican Observatory is inseparable from the history of the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits, and the long, nuanced relationship between the Catholic Church and astronomy, which far predates the infamous trial of Galileo Galilei in 1633. For centuries, the Church was the preeminent patron of scientific inquiry. The most critical astronomical project was not philosophical, but practical and deeply spiritual, achieving an accurate calendar for the calculation of movable feast days, most crucially Easter. The astronomical work was so essential that many cathedrals, such as the Basilica of Santa Maria degli Angeli e dei Martiri in Rome, were fitted with sophisticated meridian lines, giant sundials etched into the floor, allowing priests and scientists to precisely track the solstices and equinoxes by observing a ray of sunlight passing through an aperture in the ceiling. This was astronomical research conducted literally within the walls of the church. The triumph of this effort was the Gregorian calendar of 1582, a mathematical and observational masterpiece that remains the global standard today. The Jesuits became the intellectual shock troops of Catholic science. Following their founding in 1540, they established an enormous global network of educational institutions, the centerpiece being the Roman College, Collegio Romano, which hosted the finest mathematical and astronomical minds in Europe. They were pioneers, mapping stars in China, introducing modern geometry in India, and applying science for missionary purposes globally. They viewed science, particularly astronomy, as a form of intellectual worship, a way to understand the complex rules set down by God. The Galileo affair, however, cast a long ecclesiastical shadow. While the Church never rejected the science, many high-ranking Jesuits supported the heliocentric model. The political and theological missteps surrounding the interpretation of Scripture led to a major institutional setback. For centuries, the Church was maligned by anti-clerical forces, who used the Galileo controversy as proof of faith's inherent opposition to reason. It was this very accusation that directly spurred the modern observatory's re-establishment. In 1891, Pope Leo III formally refounded the Scuola Vaticana. His motivation was explicitly stated: to publicly and undeniably demonstrate that the Catholic Church was not an enemy of intellectual and scientific inquiry. He stationed the first modern instruments right next to the dome of St. Peter's Basilica. This was a powerful symbolic gesture. Science was welcome, and the Church would not shy away from the truths revealed by the telescope. Leo XIII entrusted the Scuola once again to the Jesuits, whose tradition of excellence in both theology and empirical observation made them uniquely suited for the task. The modern Vatican Observatory thus stands as a historical remediation, a tangible monument, confirming that faith and reason are in Catholic thought, not competing forces, but two inseparable methods of apprehending the single unified truth that proceeds from God. This enduring commitment explains why, even today, the Church funds research into the very secrets that might challenge its historical narrative. Part 3. The Modern Mission, the Scuola Vaticana, today. The Vatican Observatory's modern trajectory is marked by a pragmatic and essential shift in location, dictated by the relentless march of urbanization. While Pope Leo X initially placed the telescopes inside the Vatican walls, the light pollution from Rome rapidly rendered them useless for serious astronomical work. A subsequent move to the papal summer residence at Castel Gandolfo in the 1930s provided temporary respite, but by the 1980s even that location was compromised by the spreading urban glow. This forced a crucial decision that defined the Scuola's modern mission: to sacrifice proximity to the Holy See for absolute scientific rigor. The Vatican established the Vatican Observatory Research Group, Vorjaja in Tucson, Arizona, and later partnered with the University of Arizona to build and operate the Vatican Advanced Technology Telescope, VATAT, on Mount Graham. This move, thousands of miles away from Rome, signaled an undeniable commitment. The Church prioritized world-class scientific output over symbolic geographical presence. The VAT is a marvel of modern engineering, featuring a revolutionary honeycomb primary mirror that is light yet rigid, allowing for rapid temperature stabilization and highly precise imaging. It operates in tandem with other powerful telescopes on Mount Graham, sharing resources and expertise. The Jesuit scientists who staff VORG are fully integrated into the global astronomical community. They hold PhDs from institutions like Harvard, MIT, and Cambridge, and their work is published in the same peer-reviewed journals as their secular colleagues. The scope of their current research is broad, yet deeply intentional. Stellar classification and evolution, understanding the life cycles of stars, which is crucial for determining the age and habitability of their orbiting planets. Asteroid and meteorite research. Brother Guy Consolmagno, the current director, is a world-renowned expert in meteoritics. He and his team study samples to understand the formation of the early solar system, including the crucial ingredients for life. Cosmology, investigating the large-scale structure and expansion of the universe, asking fundamental questions about its origin and ultimate fate, questions that directly feed into the theological concept of creation. The commitment of VORG is encapsulated in the Jesuit motto, Ad Majorem Dei Gloriam, for the greater glory of God. For them, every star catalogued, every light curve analyzed, and every exoplanet discovered is a fresh testament to the Creator's infinite power and artistry. Their work is a living response to Pope John Paul II's call for a new, fruitful dialogue between science and faith, demonstrating that belief in God is the greatest possible intellectual foundation for the pursuit of universal truth. The modern specular is not a retreat from the world, but a deep dive into the cosmos, armed with both ancient faith and future technology, seeking the Creator's signature in the farthest reaches of space. Part 4. The Science Exoplanets and the Search for Biosignatures. The core scientific undertaking of the Vatican Observatory that brings it into the extraterrestrial spotlight is its contribution to exoplanetary science, specifically the meticulous search for biosignatures, the unmistakable chemical fingerprints of life on worlds orbiting distant stars. The process is multi-layered and requires extreme technological precision. The initial task involves identifying exoplanets, often achieved through the transit method, where a telescope measures the minute dip in a star's brightness as an orbiting planet passes in front of it. While the VET contributes to follow-up characterization, the real groundbreaking work involves analyzing the planet's atmosphere. When light from the distant star passes through the exoplanet's atmosphere during a transit, certain chemicals absorb specific wavelengths of light, creating a unique spectral barcode. High-resolution spectroscopy breaks down this light to read the atmospheric composition. The Jesuit scientists and their collaborators are keenly searching for molecules that are chemically unstable in isolation, meaning their presence must be replenished by a continuous source. A source like biology. The primary biosignature candidates are oxygen and ozone. On Earth, free oxygen is a product of photosynthesis. Its high concentration is a powerful indicator of life. Ozone, O3, is also sought, as it is a natural derivative of oxygen and provides a strong spectral signal. Methane, CH4, in combination with oxygen. While both gases exist naturally, they react quickly and destroy each other. Finding both in significant concentrations suggests a massive continuous biological source is at work, overcoming the chemical destruction. DMS, D-methyl sulfide, and other complex molecules. The search extends to more complex molecules, like DMS, which is almost exclusively produced by marine life on Earth. Future telescopes like the Extremely Large Telescope, ELT, and the James Webb Space Telescope, JWST, are specifically designed to perform this level of high-precision chemical analysis. However, the scientific pursuit is fraught with the challenge of false positives. Geological processes, volcanic activity, or solar flares can sometimes mimic biological signatures, a concept known as abiotic production. The Jesuit scientists, adhering to the highest standards of scientific methodology, must apply intense scrutiny, ruling out every conceivable non-biological explanation before even tentatively suggesting the presence of life. The theological underpinning of this scientific rigor is compelling. For the Jesuit scientist, if God created the universe according to fixed, rational and knowable laws, the essence of Catholic philosophical tradition, then any life he created, whether here or a billion light years away, must adhere to those same principles. The search for a biosignature is, therefore, a search for the scientific law that God established for life's origins. Finding life elsewhere would not negate the divine miracle of creation. It would simply prove that the Creator's power is reproducible and extends far beyond our limited human horizon, making the universe and the Creator infinitely grander. Part 5. The Theological Conundrum, Brother Extraterrestrial. The potential discovery of intelligent extraterrestrial life, ETI, forces Catholic theology into a necessary and profound work of introspection, grappling with questions that have been debated speculatively by thinkers from St. Augustine to the present day. This is the heart of the secrets revealed by the Jesuit scientists. The first point of engagement is the concept of the plurality of worlds. While the Church once condemned certain forms of this idea, as happened briefly to the philosopher Giordano Bruno, though his charges were mostly related to heresy and not purely cosmology, the theological consensus today is that the existence of other worlds is permissible and even likely under an omnipotent creator. Pope Francis often stresses that God is the God of surprises, and limiting God's creative power to a single planet is, ironically, a form of atheism, a refusal to believe in God's boundless capacity. The second and deepest engagement is with soteriology, the doctrine of salvation. The greatest difficulty posed by ETI is not their physical existence, but their spiritual state. We must consider two possibilities. ETI is fallen. They, like humanity, suffered a spiritual fall and are in a state of original sin, requiring redemption. ETI is non-fallen. They have maintained their original state of grace, living in perfect communion with their Creator, thus requiring no redemption. If they are fallen, the critical question returns to the Incarnation. Catholic theology stresses the uniqueness and completeness of Christ's single sacrifice on earth. Christ, the eternal Logos, took on human nature. This singular event is deemed sufficient for the redemption of all creation in all its breadth. The common analogy used by Jesuits is that Christ's sacrifice is like a cosmic key that unlocks all doors to salvation throughout the universe. To suggest that Christ needed multiple incarnations, perhaps taking on the nature of a Zidonian on planet X and a Crillian on planet Y, would diminish the infinite efficacy of the earthly incarnation and border on the heresy of the Arians, who sought to limit Christ's divinity. The redemption is, by its very nature as an act of the God-man, a cosmic, universal event. The most exciting scenario is the non-fallen ETI. If such a race exists, they would be a model of perfect communion, living without the defects and suffering caused by sin. This would not undermine humanity's value. Instead, it would provide a new and astonishing perspective on the Imago Dei, demonstrating what creation is capable of when it remains fully integrated with its creator. It would serve as a poignant reflection point for humanity, forcing us to recognize the gravity of our own historical fall. The theological conundrum, therefore, is not a threat, but an unprecedented opportunity to expand the Church's understanding of God's grace and glory across the infinite tapestry of creation. The Catechism is broad enough to encompass this possibility. It is only our human imagination that must catch up. Part 6. The Official Stance. The Question of Baptism. The official and most commonly articulated position of the Vatican Observatory, championed by both current director Brother Guy Consolmagno and his predecessor Father José Gabriel Funes, is one of robust scientific openness, coupled with grounded theological caution. This stance has been clarified through numerous interviews and publications designed to bridge the gap between scientific speculation and religious doctrine. In 2009, Father Funes published a pivotal article in the Vatican's official newspaper, L'Osservatore Romano, titled "The Extraterrestrial is My Brother." The title itself was a theological statement. Funes argued that the belief in extraterrestrial life is not contradictory to faith in God. He drew upon the concept of divine sovereignty, asserting that God's creative freedom is absolute. Just as a forest contains an infinite diversity of life, so too might the universe contain diverse intelligent beings. To limit God to only one habitable world is in fact a theological restriction. The most famous and oft-quoted soundbite that encapsulates the Vatican's pragmatic preparedness is Brother Consolmagno's response to the persistent question, "Would you baptize an alien?" His reply, "Only if they asked." This statement is deceptively profound, acting as a crucial boundary marker in Catholic canon law and theology. It addresses three key issues: personhood and will. The ability to ask for the sacrament of baptism implies that the being possesses reason and free will. These are the hallmarks of a rational creature with a soul, persona, capable of moral decision and entering into a covenant relationship with God. If an ETI meets these criteria, they are eligible for the sacraments. If they were mere biological automatons or lacked reason, they would not be. The autonomy of the other, the condition "if they asked," upholds the sacred Catholic doctrine of respecting individual conscience and autonomy. Baptism cannot be forced or coerced. It must be a voluntary act. The Church would never impose its doctrines upon a newly discovered civilization. It would approach them with respect and await their free assent, recognizing them as sovereign beings created by the same God. Necessity of redemption. If ETI is non-fallen, they would have no need for baptism, as they would already exist in perfect communion with God. The act of baptism is necessary only for those who are seeking entry into the community of faith and are in need of the cleansing of sin. The official stance, therefore, is ready for a spiritual encounter. The Jesuit scientists are not just observing the cosmos, they are preparing a theological welcoming party. They view the potential discovery of ETI not as the end of their faith, but as a monumental expansion of the Creator's family, reaffirming that the love and redemptive power of Jesus Christ is truly cosmic in scale. Their confidence is rooted in the conviction that whatever truth the telescope reveals, it will ultimately harmonize with the truth revealed by the Gospel. Part 7. Conclusion. The infinite glory of creation. Our deep exploration into the Vatican Observatory reveals that the Catholic Church's involvement in astrophysics and the search for extraterrestrial life is perhaps the most sophisticated and intellectually courageous engagement of any major world religion with modern science. The Specula Vaticana stands as an active, living rejection of the perceived dichotomy between faith and reason. The key takeaway is that the potential confirmation of life beyond Earth is not viewed by the Church's scientific core as a theological threat, but as an anticipated and glorious extension of the divine creation. Every advancement in understanding the immense scale of the cosmos only serves to magnify the infinite glory of the one who spoke it all into existence. To the Jesuit astronomer, finding life elsewhere would confirm several fundamental theological premises. Divine liberality. It would prove that God's capacity to create and sustain life is boundless, confirming his omnipotence rather than challenging it. The existence of multiple intelligent races would simply demonstrate the Creator's pleasure in diversity. The unity of truth. It would cement the belief that scientific truth and revealed truth flow from the same divine source. The laws of nature, including the conditions for life, are the laws of God, and investigating them is a holy act. The universal scope of Christ's reign. It reinforces the notion that Christ is the Lord of the cosmos, not just the Lord of earth. The solitary event of the incarnation and resurrection here is cosmically sufficient to redeem all intelligent creation throughout space and time. The Vatican Observatory, with its state-of-the-art telescope pointed toward the infinite, serves as a powerful reminder of the psalmist's words. The heavens declare the glory of God. The skies proclaim the work of his hands. Psalm 9. In the Jesuit tradition, the telescope is a prayer tool, and astronomical inquiry is a form of profound meditation on the divine intellect. By leading the charge in astrobiology, the Church demonstrates that true faith is intellectually robust, unafraid of inquiry, and prepared to embrace the infinite surprises that an unlimited God might have placed in the boundless universe. The search is not for a contradiction, but for a fuller, grander revelation of the secrets of true faith. As we conclude this deep dive, we turn the question back to you. If a non-fallen, intelligent ETI race were discovered, and they were theologically perfect, what should be the Vatican's first priority? A. Studying their culture and non-sinful spirituality to learn from them, or B. Immediately presenting the gospel of Jesus Christ to them, believing they must have a formal relationship with the Redeemer. Share your profound perspective on this ultimate theological question in the comments below. If you found this exploration valuable, please take a moment to like this video, share it with others who are grappling with the complex intersection of faith and science, and be sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell. Join us next time for another fascinating journey into the secrets of true faith.